What's up, everybody? Welcome to S.W.A.T MMA, smoking weed and talking mixed martial arts. This is episode 64. My name is Jarrod. I'm here as usual with Paul.
What up?
We are coming to you from the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the upcoming Fight Night, Las Vegas, featuring Tyron Woodley versus Gilbert Burns in the main event. We're going to touch on some other fight-related topics, including Fight Island and maybe a bit about Mike Tyson. Before we get into all that, though, let's get started with our weed of the week.
Smoke weed every day.
This week, we are smoking on some Girl Scout cookies. Got a couple joints rolled, which Paul just hit. On top of that, though, we got some other goodies. We got some shatter, mimosa shatter that we're going to be smoking out of this new Nectar Collector by Seahorse that you just picked up.
Yeah, this shit is dope.
That's very fun. And we've also got some Terp Diamonds that we're going to be smoking out of this PAX 3 vaporizer. Let me hit this joint real quick.
Yeah, just elaborating a little bit on the strains we got here today. Love good Girl Scout cookies, but I do feel like it is one of the most copied strains in the game. So, like, if you get like a good, like, real Girl Scout cookie, man, it's fucking flame. Like,
Yeah,
this one here,
is gorgeous.
dude, this
Yeah, you can tell.
this shit is fucking
This joint's real
ridiculous.
smooth, too. We rolled this ourselves. This isn't a pre-roll from a dispensary. A lot of the dispensaries out here finally opening up. Let's talk a little bit about Vegas while we're smoking here.
Yeah. So
as
still
we
dealing with
stand,
bullshit.
Yeah, as we stand right now, there's no casinos open here in Vegas yet. Most of the country's starting to open up. Hopefully that's happening wherever you are.
And most of the city's already opening up, like a lot of the department stores, grocery stores, shit like that.
Most dispensaries were
Restaurants.
offering a delivery service during the shutdown. A lot
It's
of
a
them were doing
ridiculous premium added to it, though,
Crazy.
dude. You had to fucking spend like $250 to $300 on some of them to get a delivery, and it would be like next day. It wouldn't even be same day delivery. It's like, all right, dude. So you want me to pay extra money, wait an extra day, and you only take so many orders.
Yeah, I couldn't
Fuck.
mess with that, bro. I
Like,
didn't.
or you want me to go sit in line at New Woo for fucking 5 hours? Nah.
I did go to New Woo one
I
time.
went once at 2 a.m. and was there for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I went at like 8 a.m. and we talked about it before, the size of the lines outside. But with those prices, I haven't bought anything from dispensaries. I've been buying street weed.
Yeah, me too. Here's the
It's
thing
just-
with
it's too
Vegas, though.
much.
Because we have legal weed here, a lot of the people that are slanging shit will slang dispensary weed. That's the thing. You can't really sell bullshit out here because it's easily sniffed out when you got people who smoke on the regs, you know?
Yeah, that's for sure. These guys had to bring their weed game up a bit. But this is good right here. This is smooth. I'm looking forward to these Terp Diamonds. If you're listening and you don't know what Terp Diamonds are, if you don't have a dispensaries in your area,
You're
are it's a live resin. It's a terpene sauce, right? These are lab created, and it has THCA crystals inside the terpene sauce. And THCA crystals are about 97 to 99% THC.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you fire them up, THCA converts to THC. And so you can get the crystals by themselves. You can just get plain THCA crystals. There's not a lot of flavor there, though.
Yeah.
They put them in the sauce, and the terpene sauce to add all kinds of flavor.
Yeah.
I got to be honest, man. I prefer...
Give you guys kind of the visual on the camera.
Yeah, if you're looking on camera. I prefer the straight diamonds without the sauce so much. I don't really care about the flavor when it comes to
Shit,
Terp
I like it with the sauce. But
I
the
don't hate it
diamonds
enough.
straight up are fucking nice anyways. Like, you know what I like? I like when it's not like super sauced up, but it's like where the diamonds absorb it and it almost like fattens them up a bit, you know?
Yeah.
Those are the ones I like.
We've got two different kinds of these. We got the chem cake and we got the garlic cake. So
I got a lot of different strains of those at the house too, and freaking those things are flame.
yeah, we found a good plug on some diamonds here. Those were great. I had another kind,
Made
the
by
papaya
Top
punch.
Choice or West Coast Alchemy.
Yeah, top choice. West Coast Alchemy. This is a limited edition collaboration. It's probably my favorite thing to smoke, especially out of this PAX. Dude, I gotta say. And that's not a sponsored plug, although I wish they would.
Honestly, on this thing too, I find on the this little seahorse I picked up a couple days ago at this local smoke shop. Like, you can pretty much like place it on top of a diamond and like burn it halfway
You can
down.
hit a diamond with that
Yeah,
too.
I've hit a diamond with
I've
it.
never used one except just here pre-show. I hit some of that shadow with
What's
it.
cool
It's
about
pretty
it too,
cool.
though, is it's like dual use. So it has like a 510 thread on it, so you can just unscrew the little nectar
Screw that
collector
nectar
here,
collector.
and
Put a
then
cartridge in.
just throw a cartridge in right there,
That's dope.
which I have. Let me see, where's it at?
Here it is right here. What kind of cartridge is this?
It's a strawberry cake. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. Again, I've been vaporizing almost all my weed since the last episode, and this, I don't think I've just smoked straight weed since then. And this is really smooth. This Girl Scout in this joint, I gotta say.
And this fucking shit rips too. On the other side, so
Does it here? Well, let's trade, man.
no, yeah,
Folks,
trade's
I
always
hope
great.
everybody listening, I hope you're smoking on some fine cannabis right now too, legal or not.
Yeah, as long as you got it, that's all that matters.
Ooh, I haven't hit a cartridge in a while either.
Yeah,
That's pretty nice. That's pretty cool. This thing was not too pricey either, from what you were saying.
yeah, it was only $30.
That's a good deal. I might pick one up for that.
Yup.
Well, hopefully, as things start to open up here, we're going to get a lot more sports coming back. I know we got some boxing coming back here soon. We're just talking to our friends over at Slugfest Magazine. They got some new issues coming out here eventually as new fights start coming out. So, of course, our boxing pick article over there will be back live online and appearing in the magazines as well
Yeah, for sure.
as soon as we get some fights rolling.
You know, it's just like, here's the thing. Life's coming back piece by piece, and I just feel like everyone just needs to ride the wave. Stop pushing back. Just ride it. Like, I know it sucks, but it is what it is. Let's just get through it. Everybody stay safe. You know, watch after your fucking people with pre-existing conditions and your elders,
Yeah.
and then, like, the people who are fucking healthy and ready to go, they can go back to work, you know?
That's the thing you got to just do is be careful of people who
I
are
feel like we just need-
compromised.
yeah,
Wash
people
your
who are
hands. And don't
compromised
touch your
need
face.
need to 100% be held, like, you know, like, obviously kept safe, but
Yeah.
at the same time, how long can we continue to stop everything, you know?
I don't
It's an
think we
unfortunate
can.
situation, you know?
It is, but I think we've all done what we've needed to do, and now the tide has shifted more towards, things opening up. I know they've had good trials of the vaccine, and even if that doesn't come through, I think
Seems
we've
like they're
been through
testing
the
more,
worst
too.
the worst of it. Yeah, I just passed a line. God, I was out driving the other day and went through this line. It was like 6 blocks of traffic that was lined up in the right lane. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I followed it all the way to the Walmart, and it was for the drive-through testing that we got going
Oh,
on.
yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, my girlfriend's been tested twice. She passed. I've been passed. We're good.
Did you do the nasal swab?
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
I
I haven't been tested.
as you
but
guys
I'm-
can hear, I have terrible, fucking, you know,
your sinuses.
terrible sinuses.
Yeah.
So I fucking don't know
that's-
how they got up there.
That's the thing. I have the same problem, man. I have to. I take 2 different kinds of allergy medication. I squirt stuff up my nose, and still it's all jacked up.
Yeah,
I just bought some local honey in an effort to
I
try.
heard that
and
shit
help.
works. Does it work?
I just got it 2 days ago. I don't know
okay.
yet, but I'll let you
I heard it
know.
works.
I've been eating a lot of it, just
Yeah,
for that only reason of helping with the allergies.
yeah. And what sucks too is like the only thing I have at the crib is Benadryl, and it's like it takes you out.
Oh yeah, that makes you
Put you
sleepy,
down.
man.
But like right now, it doesn't matter because we're in the middle of the quarantine. So like if I ever get allergies, I'm like whatever, go to bed.
Well, we don't have a whole lot of fights to talk about this week because there's the card, coming up on the 30th, which was originally going to be the 23rd.
Yeah.
It was going to be here, then it was going to be in Jacksonville.
Now
And now it got
seems
bumped
to
a
be
week
here.
out, and now it's going to be here.
Well, we'll see Wednesday.
Maybe. Yeah.
Sounds like it. From what guys like Okamoto and freaking Ariel have put together, from what it sounds like, Bob Bennett is going to come out and have a unanimous vote to reopen the combat sports in Nevada. But who knows,
Yeah, if you
Sometimes
don't know who Bob Bennett is, he's the director of the NSAC here in Nevada State.
it's still up
Athletic
for
Commission.
vote, though, so Shit could
Yeah,
get
it's gotta
voted one
vote.
way or another. It really just depends on how people feel.
Yeah, it's not a given that it's going to go down, but all
Nothing's
things
a given right
point
now,
to it
yeah.
looking like it's probably going to
Hopefully.
pass.
If not, though, they said they do have a backup plan, which sounds like Arizona.
That'll probably be the closest thing. Florida would be too far away to move
Yeah.
that quick. But I've
Well,
heard
here's the thing.
Arizona's allowing sports now too. So
Or they can also do California. They can go back to Tachi Palace if they want, because California just reopened 3 days ago for sports,
right for sports.
not for people. They'll be there till next year.
Yeah, you poor folks in L.A. Jeez, sound like you're ever going to get out the house.
Yeah, never. But yeah, so hopefully this ends up in Vegas. We'll see what happens Wednesday. But as of now, it's Fight Night Vegas to us.
Yeah, that's an odd thing because
Yeah, it's very
we
rare.
get the big
We get
fights
the- yeah,
here.
pay-per-views.
It's always the pay-per-views.
But it's more of like a throwback, because if you think of like the old international fight weeks where they'd have the 3 events, the 2
Yeah.
fight nights in Vegas, and then remember
Yeah.
we went to a fight night. We went to
Well, it was the
Woodley
tough
versus
finale.
not Woodley. It was
It was Usman versus RDA tough
yep,
finale.
that's what it was. Yep, yep.
Because for a
That was a good
while,
fight.
for
No,
a while we
no,
do
it
the
was
tough finale, and then they would do a big card,
Yep.
and then they started adding like a third one
Yeah.
on Thursdays, and we
That's
get
how-
3.
If people would like to remember, fucking Eddie Alvarez won his lightweight title on a Friday night.
Right, sure did. Friday night fight here in Vegas.
On International Fight Week.
On the big weekend. That was like the crescendo of the Fertitta era.
Yeah, it
When
doesn't
they were
seem like
putting
they
those 3 on Fight Week,
Yeah.
and then on International Fight Week. I mean,
Yeah.
and then now
It's
that
just- yeah. There probably will be this year though, considering they have to make the nuts fall as far as a number of cards.
yeah, they
you
got to
know?
get those events done to get that Disney contract.
I can see it.
Got to do 43 events before the year's out to fulfill their contract.
How many they got so far?
Like 12 or something. It's not a lot. I think that's
So
why
what?
Dana said if they do this Fight Island, he says there's going to be like 4 events in a row.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Which I'm still holding my breath
He said
if that happens.
he said to
We'll see.
prove the safeness that he will live on the island for a month
What does a
before the
prove
event
mean?
happens. I don't know what that means, but it is what it is. That's what he's saying. Let's just talk about it right now before we get into this Fight Night Vegas. Let's talk about Fight Island real quick.
All right, Fight Island. Well, let's start with the main thing. Paul, do you still think it's going to happen, yes or no?
I think it's possible. I don't know if it's like a fucking random island in the middle of nowhere.
'Cause last
though.
week we were
I
both
think
like,
it could
no.
be somewhere like. Here's the thing, though. Fight Island is a fucking weird thing to say. I don't think it's some private island in the middle of nowhere. I think what's going to end up happening is something similar to what the NBA had planned. The NBA had plans in either Florida and or like they also looked in like like the islands out there like Jamaica and stuff like that. What's
Yeah.
that shit called?
Caribbean?
Yeah, Caribbean, yeah. They've looked at a bunch of different islands there to like hold the event. So I don't know. But I think that does the whole idea of it would actually be compromised if they do that. Because isn't it supposed to be so people don't have to get a travel visa or whatever?
Supposedly, so people don't have to get a travel visa and come to the USA, which isn't allowing international travel. But we still have countries that aren't allowing travel out. Like, as far as I know, Russia's not
But
allowing anybody to leave.
The
as an
thing is
example.
with the NBA is they pretty much were trying to use basic knowledge of other flus. No one really even knows yet, but it seems like their climate would be best suited for some kind of situation such as this.
Do you want these turf diamonds in this?
Yeah,
back
for
sleeve?
sure, no doubt.
I am still of the belief that I'm leaning towards it probably not actually happening still.
Dude, what if Connor fought on Fight Island? How fucking cool would that be?
Well, here's why I'm hesitant about it happening. Is the UFC supposedly spending all this money, right, to build all this infrastructure? They have to build a hospital there or have a place that already has a hospital.
Well,
They're
maybe
gonna
that's
have
why
to
he's gonna
build
live there.
quarters. They're going to have to build all this stuff. And then what happens if countries just open up their travel restrictions after that? And then it's just a giant waste of money because the whole thing was just like the virus. But look, like we just talked about, we've hit a turning point with the virus here in the USA. Rest of the world that happens too, then we don't even need Fight Island.
Here's the thing. I think there's also an angle to this, though, that people are not realizing in the idea of no fans. Because, yeah, all these countries can open with no travel restrictions, but nowhere is going to be able to have fans. So the cheapest way to do that is to have your own private land where you don't got to pay some freaking crazy rent at a freaking arena.
You
You
don't have
don't
to
need to
rent out
put.
an entire
That's what
arena.
I'm saying. You don't need to put out an arena that you're not going to be able to put anybody in the first place.
Yeah, you're not making
You
a
don't have
game
to
anyway.
hire their entire staff that is freaking holding 10,000 seats in an arena for no fucking reason, like they did in Jacksonville for 3 straight events. I think that's where you could see something like that because the Apex, it really just, I think it all comes down to the U.S. travel restrictions, because if the U.S. travel restrictions are lifted, everything's different. But if it's not, I think Fight Island makes sense because you need some kind of Apex-like event in a place where you're not going to pay rent and not worry about fucking overhead with fans and all that shit like that.
And it's certainly going to get him a lot of publicity. I mean, people seem to like the idea of fights occurring on an island for whatever reason.
Because it's like Mortal fucking Kombat. It's
Yeah.
cool.
There's a lot of movies have that theme, and it is cool. I mean, we have seen it before. Bodog Fights did it,
Yeah.
and I'm not complaining. It's a cool background. I got to say,
My favorite was when they were talking about doing it on a fucking military hangar. That would be fucking
on
cool.
an aircraft, like an aircraft carrier.
Yeah. How cool would that be? That would be so fucking cool. Remember they used to do shit like that. They did that.
they did that.
They did the event for the troops. I think George Masvidal fought on that. Jacare fought on that. I want to say too.
Yeah, that's a cool background.
It was way back. I think fucking Eve Edwards fought George Masvidal on that.
That could be.
I want to say.
That sounds about right.
I don't know. Or Eve Edwards fought somebody on it. I don't know. But they used to do events like that back in the day, and honestly, they could probably still do that.
You know,
I don't
one
know
thing
why
I
they
like
don't.
about the fights occurring in an empty arena is that the sound.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear every single blow.
To a certain degree, though.
I don't like the
I don't like the coaching.
commentators,
Yeah.
and I don't like the coaching that you can hear, but I really like the sound of all the blows landing, because you can also tell when people whiff as well, because sometimes when you're just watching, you can't tell if something landed, but it's easy to tell now. You can hear
But
every punch land.
Here's the cool
Every
thing.
kick.
Here's the cool thing. With a place like the Apex, there's actually like a skybox freaking commentator booth that Snoop Dogg and Uriah Faber used to use.
Is that where they did their show out of?
I want to say, unless that was the old one maybe, but I want to say it was there.
That makes sense, yeah.
But still, there's got to be some kind of situation where they could do that, where the guys aren't hearing them directly because they don't commentate freaking
Right.
the Ultimate Fighter, you know.
That would be better as
Or
well as that.
they
too.
do actually do it for Dana White Contender Series.
I can't remember whose fight it was on the last event, but John Anik or somebody mentioned how the fighter looked huge, and the guy heard him, turned around, and flexed mid-fight.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, that's fun and all, but
It's fun,
that's
yeah.
really distracting for a fighter to
Absolutely.
be listening to all that.
yeah.
I mean, hell, look at Anthony Smith, hearing all his coaches nonstop. I mean, there's a lot of people that say that caused him to gas out.
Yeah.
Which, that's debatable.
Well, here's the thing.
I don't know if I buy that, but it's debatable because there's no sound of a crowd.
Well, here's the thing. I've been in my lifetime, at least. This is the closest, it's the closest comparison I can make this to. Like, I've wrestled in gyms where I can only hear my coach, and I'm not doing every fucking thing he says. Like, just to be honest. Like, whether I know in a fight, like, there's openings they see that you don't, and there's a lot more, like, serious consequences and all that bullshit that could be, that is legitimate. But, still, if I'm getting coached, no one's listening to every single word and doing every single thing a coach says.
No.
Let's just be honest. Everyone has a style. Anthony Smith's style is not to do what he did. Anthony Smith's style before was actually more of like a counter puncher, like against Rashad and all the other legends that he's beat, and made them make mistakes. In this fight, he made all the mistakes, and Glover just took advantage of it. And the thing is, I don't know. We've just kind of just riffing some topics here in MMA that have been going around lately. Let's just talk about it. The whole throwing in the towel thing with Anthony Smith's fight, I think, was 100% necessary. And the fact that they didn't is egregious. And
Yeah, there's some people trying to throw shade at Herzog, the referee, which I don't agree with. I think the ref did fine. I
He
think
did fine.
that if anybody needed to stop that fight, it was his corner, and I think they should have. Me coming from a boxing background, throwing in the towel is not a shameful act.
no, it's lengthening your career. It's getting out of a fight you know you can't win.
Yeah, it's people in boxing accept that for the most part. I mean, you'll find people like Deontay Wilder's complaining about that, but
Stupid.
that's just whatever. And everybody's like, "Dude, you're dumb." That
Yeah.
knows what's up.
Yeah,
But MMA has this
they're there to
thing
protect you.
where you can't do that. Like that's somehow like a pussy move if
Yeah,
you
no.
throw in the towel, which is
Stupid.
absurd. That's really stupid. Because Anthony Smith came out and made some statements that no matter what, his corner is never to do that, or he would fire them.
Yeah, that's just absolutely ridiculous. There's no way.
That's absurd. man.
That's craziness.
That line of thinking is exactly why corners need to be there and to be able to throw in the towel to stop that line of thinking right there.
Well, here's the thing, and because this has become such a big topic, Brett Okamoto reached out to a lot of the major coaches in the game, like from all over, like Mark Henry, homeboy down in
Jackson,
he fought Uriah Faber, Mikey Brown.
Mikey Brown.
They asked him. They asked like a lot of the high level coaches, and every one of them pretty much more or less said, "Yeah, I would hope I had the smarts to throw in the towel in a situation like that."
It was clear.
It was super clear. And then even Mark Henry admitted that, I mean, although not Uriah Faber, but Frankie Edgar had a great comeback against Gray Maynard in that first round, he said he was one knockdown away from throwing the towel.
Right.
So it's like, you need someone like that knows, like, okay, yeah, it's the first round, but dude, you just got knocked down 6 times. Like, I'm more worried about you than the money we'll make if you're a champion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
there's got to be a line drawn where you know the guy cares for your well-being. That's why, like, when perfect example is when of course, I'm high now, so I can't remember names. George Foreman, when he came back, he hired Muhammad Ali's coach because he knew that he would throw the towel in for him.
Right.
He said he needed somebody like that.
Yes. See, it's George Foreman's smart to
Yeah.
do that. That's intelligent thinking for a fighter to have.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is you got to have someone who's there, who not generally, but actually cares about your well-being. You know,
For real, and I don't blame Anthony Smith for having that attitude of like never throwing the
because
towel.
that's the fighter's
But
attitude. They're always going to
right,
have that.
I do disagree with him saying he would fire a cornerman who did that. Like,
Yeah, it's
that's- you have to be protected from yourself.
Yeah.
Of course, a fighter's always going to think he can win. Mm-hmm. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, well, that's just the mentality of like most of these guys out here is the whole idea of being at the top of the game in the UFC. You're the baddest motherfucker in the world because not only do you strike, you wrestle, you grapple, all that bullshit. If you're really at the top, you know, you have to be savage. You have to be willing to go out on your shield. And I understand that from his mentality, but you as a coach, you have to be there to understand when going out on your shield is one thing or you're going to die because you forgot your shield at home. You know what I mean? Like fuck. Like that's just really what it comes down to because, you know, unfortunately we've seen 2 deaths in boxing in the last year and we've also seen a guy literally go into a coma and just start to get back to normal and freaking
yeah.
Adonis Stevenson. So it's like there's so many situations in combat sports where things go over the line and sometimes there's nobody there to save you. As a coach, you have to be that guy to save your fighter or you know what I'm saying? You have to be there to really give a shit and be able to look him in the eyes between rounds and be like, okay, he's not there at all. You know, like he's completely gone because it's just ridiculous brain damage that you do not need after you're completely gone. You know, there's a line you can't cross.
Absolutely. Well, let's shift a little bit to the fight card that is coming up.
Yeah,
Let's start with the main event because it is the best card or the best fight on the card.
the best card ever, bro.
It's a pretty
it's a
weak
pretty
card,
weak card.
honestly.
I think it is
what
because
it is.
there was nothing really set in stone here. So if you're a fighter and they go, hey, you want to fight on May 22nd or
Yeah.
maybe the 30th? You know, like
They're just
it's
throwing
like
it out.
it's like hey, hit me up when you got a pay-per-view, bro. Like I don't know about this fight night. And I don't blame fighters right now because, like you were saying, like we were talking about a little bit before the show, there's guys like Stipe and other people like that are getting shut down by government, local government that is actually fining them and shutting their gyms down, and that's super, super unfortunate. And I kind of want to, I said before, like it's kind of fucked up, so I'll take that. I'm fucked up for saying what I said, but hey, it's in general theory, you would think someone who's a professional would have access, but we're in a different world right now.
Yeah, every state is so different. And for
Yeah.
those that don't quite follow what we're talking about, Stipe Miocic was catching some flack from Daniel Cormier and some others, and Paul a little bit last week, just about like that he could have gone to his gym, and just done some one-on-one training and
Yeah.
stuff. And Stipe kind of he seems to have taken offense at that and came out and made some statements to the effect that his gym actually did try to do stuff like that and got fined by the CDC itself.
Yeah, was threatened to get shut down.
Yeah, and that type of thing, you'll lose your business license. They'll shut you down. I mean,
Yeah.
look at what some of these people are going through who are defying those orders.
Absolutely.
Whatever you believe about that aside, it doesn't change the
Yeah,
fact that happened.
that happens,
And you
yeah.
can't blame somebody for being like, nah.
Yeah.
And Stipe says he said it doesn't matter if he's who he is, that they weren't going to open the gym, and that's
Yeah.
that. He can't train anywhere.
Yeah.
So
It's unfortunate.
it is what it is.
So I think that's why you're seeing a lot of these guys that are on the lower level getting a chance here, and that's good for them. You know,
Yeah.
this is a big shot because a lot of these fight nights are going to be completely on ESPN because there's nothing else on ESPN. So
Well, let's start with the main event. We got Tyron Woodley finally coming back, the former heavyweight or the
He
former
wishes.
welterweight
Welterweight.
champ. He hasn't been in the cage since Usman
demolished him.
demolished him. It was an embarrassing 5-round title-losing effort.
Yeah.
And he's fighting Gilbert Burns, a surging Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. We've seen
Coming
him
off a
fight
knockout.
live. We saw him at the Black Belt CBD. You're
Yeah, we
wearing
did,
the shirt
actually.
right there.
Coming off a knockout win over Damian Maya as well, surging up the ladder.
Yeah, he's looking real
That's kind of the
good.
benchmark, is like if you can have a good performance against a guy like Damian Maya, you're
Yeah.
ready to really contend.
And he had that performance. He's got a lot of experience in the UFC, more than Woodley,
Yeah.
actually. He's got 14 fights. in
His
the
striking
UFC.
has gotten better and better. Is the thing is like before
Yes, it
he's such a great jiu-jitsu practitioner that it's like he leaned on it so much and he got into some. He was fucking undefeated for a while too. It's not like let's not pretend that
He's won
he's
11
like
and 3 in the UFC,
yeah.
right?
So let's not pretend like he hasn't had his performances, but he's had a couple unfortunate ones that brought him to 170, and this is where I feel like he's really flourished.
He's looked really good.
Yeah.
I think Woodley's
And he's
in trouble.
fucking taking fights left and right. He doesn't give a shit what day of the week. Freaking, I think he fought 4 times last year. Like, come on, his guy is ready to go, and that's what the UFC needs right now. The
he
best.
fought in the UFC, and he also took BJJ matches on
Yeah.
the side as well.
Well, you know what they say, dude. The best of ability is availability. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if he's here ready to go, like another guy on the card as well, we'll talk about later. The best thing for a guy right now in the UFC, if they're to get a fast finish, is to turn around and be like, okay, I just got a camp. I'm in tip-top shape, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to go home and have another camp. So why not stay wherever, like Kevin Holland did, stay in Florida or wherever the fights are at, just work out, stay in good shape, do it again and next month. You know what I'm saying? It's like those kind of guys are going to be rewarded by the UFC down the line. Is basically what I'm saying. People like Angela
They
Hill,
could, yeah.
people like this guy Kevin Holland, people who are just turning it around, accepting whatever fights, and fucking actually contending and putting on great fights against top fighters in the world are going to be the ones that are going to get kind of the push. You know what I mean? That there's no pushes in the UFC. Obviously, you still have to win your fights, but there's still marketing pushes in the UFC. And people who take fights any day and do what Dana asks them are usually the people that get those giant market pushes.
And most of these fighters are getting at least a few more eyes on them right now due to the lack of other sports.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's
UFC's
good,
getting fucking Super Bowl numbers
it's
for
good
no
for
reason.
them to get these this exposure.
Yeah. Not exactly Super Bowl numbers. but you
So
get
we
what I'm
got
saying.
Woodley. Yeah, I know what you're saying. We got Woodley. He's coming back. Burns. He's
This is
a
a good
handful.
fight, man.
Who do you like?
This one's tough for me, but I think the division has passed Tyron Woodley by. I think a move up to 85 is more likely for him. And I think this is Gilbert Burns' time. He's still young, albeit he's he's in his prime. You know, Tyron's
Yeah.
had some arthritis issues lately. Who knows how much truth there is to that? He's had an array of injuries over the last few years, and I just feel like someone who's just ready to go all day, every day, like Gilbert Burns, is not going to have those same nagging injuries. You know what I mean? So, who knows? I think Burns though. I'm gonna go with Burns by decision.
I like Burns to win this fight too. I'm a Woodley fan. I think he's great for the division. One of the
Yeah.
all-time great champs.
100%.
In welterweight history. However, I think his time has passed as well. Burns is on fire,
Yeah.
and I think
I just
he's
feel
got
like
this fight.
I feel like Woodley's best days are behind him, unfortunately, and I could be wrong. You know, we all could be wrong.
Yeah, I won't be sad if he wins.
Yeah,
but,
I
I'm picking
think
Burns as
yeah,
well.
I'm thinking this is Burns' time to really get his face out there and his name out there, which is big.
He beats Woodley here. He's suddenly right in the talk of the top of the division.
I think he
Woodley's
gets.
still got a lot of shine.
Yeah, I think he takes Woodley out. If he beats Woodley, I think I could either see him getting the shot against Usman if George buys himself out, or I could also see a fight against someone like Leon Edwards or someone like that, or Colby or someone like that, to like really see who the number one contender is. Because if in fact George Masvidal does not get the title shot, you're going to have to be a really, really clear cut number one contender for the fans to get behind you fighting for the belt, and George not. And I think that's the pickle the UFC's in right now. George Masvidal is like, dude, what are you gonna do? Give Leon Edwards a shot? No one wants to see that shit. And I like Leon Edwards, and a lot of people just
He can't
don't
get out
know
of
who he
England
is, man.
anyways.
They just don't know who he is. They just don't. And that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Someone like Gilbert, although he is from Brazil, has had a lot of national TV exposure from UFC fight nights and stuff like that since he's had 14 fights in the UFC, man. Like, come on. We're talking about a guy who's damn near a veteran in the sport because he's got more fights in the UFC than Tyron Woodley. Like, come on. Like, this kid is ready to go. I think this is his time.
If Woodley loses here, I think he's looking at retirement.
I think he goes 85.
You think so? I think he's a little small. He's only
There's still
five-
money to be made there,
He's only
man.
5'9".
Dude,
mean,
the
he's-
number one
he's the same
contender.
size as Conor.
He's trashed the number one contender 2
5'10",
fights
maybe.
ago. Let's just be honest.
This is a guy you just also said
Darren
was,
Till
past
is like
his
top.
prime and on his way down. And
He is for sure.
arthritic.
He is. But if you take that same guy and you throw a couple extra pounds on him and you focus more on his punching power and a lot less on his jiu-jitsu and all his other stuff, which really, because if he goes up to 85, it's striker city. It's all strikers up there. And there's still big fights for him up there. You got a rematch with Till. You've got a rematch with Gaslam. You've got a shot against Israel, or even a fight against someone like Robert Whitaker or Yoel Romero. I would be down for every single one of those fights for Tyron Woodley. The fact of the matter is, there's a way to lose this fight and show you're not done. If he goes out there and gets starched, then it's over. But if he just goes out there and maybe looks sluggish or just looks uninterested, it's very possible for him to move up to 85.
He says he's feeling violent. I guess we'll see.
We'll see about that. And if he does do that,
Well.
I would still like to see him move to 85. I think 70 is moved past him, and I think the champion put on too dominant of a
Beat down.
performance to freaking not even. There's no way he wins in a rematch. I'm just sorry. Like there's guys who have your number, and Kamaru Usman has a style where it just shuts everything Tyron Woodley does down, because it's himself, just more athletic, stronger, and faster. That's what Usman is. Usman is Tyron Woodley when he fought Robbie. Like, honestly.
All right, let's move on to the next fight on the card that's somewhat interesting. What do you got?
Yeah, so we got Kevin Holland taking on Daniel Rodriguez.
Kevin Holland, we just saw.
Yeah, so this is going to be the fastest turnaround in UFC history.
What weight
14
is this
days. 155, I believe.
155.
I think. Fuck, I could be wrong. Oh, I feel bad if I'm wrong. Maybe 170. I don't know. But that
He
all
fought
aside,
14 days ago.
I want to say he's from. Yeah, so It's just tough, man. Like we were talking about before, a lot of these cards, they got the guys who are young and up and coming, and Kevin Holland is a guy who is one of those, you know?
This is a good opportunity for him. You think? I don't know much about his opponent, Rodriguez.
Yeah, I don't either.
There's
It's
a
tough
lot
with
of-
MMA, man. There's a lot of prospects that put up a lot of noise, and it's hard to follow every single one of them. So it's great for him to get his name out here in like a fight night like this on ESPN.
Well, Rodriguez is 10-1. Holland 17-5, and like you said, he just fought 14 days ago.
He's got good personality too. He was great on the mic after the fight. He said he was talking about how he wished like he fought 3 days before because DC was the announcer then, and he was giving out the cheat codes, and he didn't get any.
This is a fight at welterweight.
Okay, 170. I knew he was like 155, 170, somewhere in that range, just based on his body style. Yeah, it should be good. It should be a good one. This is a good chance. Like 10-1 is tough, man. So I think if Kevin Holland comes out and puts on a good performance, just moves him right up the ladder, you know.
I like it. That should be a good fight. There's kind of a weird women's fight.
There's a
on
couple
here.
good ones.
Well, not weird. I just find the matchup slightly odd.
Yeah.
Well, we've got Antonio.
Antonina.
Antonina.
Antonio.
That's funny. I'm high. I said Antonio. That's their brother. Let's throw him in the mix.
Their brother. Oh, fuck, you're stupid.
So,
Antonina Shevchenko is fighting Caitlin Chikugian,
Right,
who
who
just
just
got
fought-
knocked out by her sister.
right, her sister Valentina Shevchenko, who is, of course,
Well, and here's the
the
thing
champion.
that here, outside of that, here's why it also doesn't make any sense. You got someone like Shevchenko who's 12th in the division, and Chikugian's second, and there's rungs on the ladder that she just never climbed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand how the number 12 fighter in the division is fighting the number 2.
Maybe Big Sis.
When
was
you've
like,
lost,
hey.
but here's the thing though: when you've lost to, I believe the 7th, 8th, and 8th fighter in the division, so how come those girls are not fighting Chikugian? And instead, you've got Shevchenko, who's not even in the top 10.
I have no idea.
Makes-
What happens to
just doesn't make any
Caitlin if she
sense.
loses here? She's in some trouble. Both
She's
the
in some
Shevchenkos would
serious
kick her
trouble,
ass.
man. Jesus, because honestly, freaking Roxanne Modaffari handled Shevchenko, and I
Right.
don't think Roxanne Modaffari lasts with Chikugian. That's the thing. So it's like, what the hell's going on?
know, speaking of
that
Rox-
division's just so weird. From the champ down, it's just coin flips.
Yeah, speaking of Roxy, she just got a fight with Lauren Murphy.
Yeah, I saw
coming
that.
up,
saw that.
I'm on a card here pretty soon.
Yeah. A lot of these
This
fights,
is a
it's
weird
like
matchup,
they're almost
but
like
yeah.
TBD on every single card because it's like if the commissions say it's okay, and it's like
Yeah,
it's
they
all
don't want
that
to
shit.
cancel
So it's
anything
like
else that they don't have to.
so like I'm seeing a lot of names being thrown out without dates, like a ton of them.
Well, back to this fight here. I mean, Caitlin's supposed to win this fight.
Yeah, I would expect her to get back on track. If not, she's in trouble.
If Shevchenko wins,
God.
I'd,
Fights her sister, Shevchenko versus Shevchenko.
right? That's such a weird
I'd
thing.
buy it.
Who wouldn't?
But they're training partners, so I don't know. Who wins?
We've also got another women's fight on there. We've got Mackenzie Dern coming back
Yeah.
fighting. She's fighting.
Coming off her first loss in her career.
Yeah.
Fighting Hannah Cybers, who's also coming off a loss to Angela Hill.
Hannah Cypher's tough. But,
She's tough. She's tough.
I don't know if I like her in this fight. I mean, Mackenzie Dern.
Kenzie Dern's just a jiu-jitsu ace, is what it is. It's like her striking on her feet is very rudimentary, but it's she's got some bit of power in her hands. It seems she's got a couple knockouts on her record.
Hannah's pretty. I mean, she doesn't have a lot
She's
of reach.
durable, yeah.
I don't know what her reach is exactly, but she doesn't have a lot of reach. She's got to really move inside to hit because she's got them.
I hate you.
Not a lot of reach. I'm just saying. So, I mean, if she be able to really dart in and land on Dern, I'm just kind of doubting it. She's tough as nails, but I expect her to get subbed here.
Thanks.
So, I'm not going to say she has T-Rex arms because I like her.
You said it. You said it.
You know that's why you're laughing. No, dude. Hannah Cypher's as tough as nails, but she does not have a large reach. Fire up this other joint here. There's several other fights here on this Vegas card, but there's not really a whole lot to talk about pre-fight that I think. So we did have some good fights that were announced, at least somewhat interesting. We've got Sean O'Malley with a fight against Eddie Wineland, which
On June 6th.
I like that a lot. That's right around the corner. June 6th is right around the corner here.
Yeah.
I like that as a fight for O'Malley. Wineland's a good name. He's still's got a bit of shine on him. I expect O'Malley to win that fight, but I expect that to be very enjoyable.
It's another step for O'Malley for sure.
Eddie Wineland's tough as nails.
Legend. Not legend. More WEC legend.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely been a great fighter.
Yeah, I think he's
He's a little past his prime,
he's
but
a
it's
little
perfect
past-
for somebody like
yeah,
O'Malley.
it's perfect
right
for someone
It's
O'Malley's
perfect.
trying to make a name. It's a name to add to the list.
And Sean's been looking to get back in the spotlight, coming off of the suspension. Mm-hmm. It'd be great for him to come out and get a big win here against someone with a fairly recognizable name. Get on that mic and maybe get a quick turnaround here. Maybe
Availability.
Right.
Oh my Jesus.
Did you injure yourself with the torch?
Oh, yep, I did. That was rough. I wasn't ready for that.
Got to be careful, boys and girls.
Ha!
Playing with fire. What about Jessica I getting booked against Cynthia Cavillo?
Yeah, that's a good fight for Cavillo.
I like Cynthia. She smokes a lot of weed. So she's always...
Jessica is tough, though. You can never count her out.
Jessica I is tough as nails. I mean, she got slept by Shevchenko, but that's not a knock on
But
her,
who
man.
isn't?
I mean, that was a killer kick. It was a pretty scary knockout. Has she been in the cage since then? She's had one
I wanna
fight
say
since
so.
then, right?
I want to say so. I think so.
Cynthia's got that Planet 10 jiu-jitsu, though.
Yeah, I like...
She's tough.
That's a tough fight, you know?
I like
Tough one,
Cavillo in that
tough
fight.
one. I do, too. And then there's a few storylines in the next fight we're going to talk about. So, there's one girl who's probably done the most press for the UFC. It's probably Paige Van Zandt. And she's going to fight out the final fight of her contract and go into negotiations as a free agent after this fight, win or lose.
That's a risky move sometimes, although Paige is a little bit of a different class of fighter.
Well, here's the
based
thing,
on
though,
her.
because you're getting more than just the fighter when you
Right.
get Paige Van Zandt.
This is true.
You're getting someone to model your clothes and all that stuff, too, because she's on every single UFC billboard and everything like that.
Her
On there.
Instagram's pretty big.
Yeah.
She gets press on things
But
like...
her husband does fight for Bellator, and the UFC had a chance to sign him, and they passed. So
That's
there's
true.
possibility of some kind of little, not a big grudge, but just a little one of just to maybe even hear Bellator out. You know what I mean?
This is true. I think the UFC would like to hang on to her because she gets that mainstream press. She did the Dancing with the Stars. She's been on the Today Show, etc.
But
But I don't know if they're willing to pay for it right now.
not even that. I think there's also a situation where the UFC tried to sell a narrative with that one. God damn it. What's her name?
They said she was scared of Macy.
Barber.
Yeah, Macy Barber.
And the UFC sold the shit out of it, and she did not like that.
She tried to say Macy, slid into her husband's DMs, basically. So I don't know.
Facts.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But I don't know if that's a reason not to fight
innocently,
somebody.
though. She was asking about some kind of move he did on, like, his story. But who knows? It's just the little things, just to know the buttons to push, you know?
Yeah.
Just the buttons to push.
And I mean,
Well,
Macy's
and also
pretty easy on the
one
eyes,
thing we
too, so-
cannot avoid here, though, Paige Van Zandt has also been unavailable to fight a lot due to her arm injuries.
Dude, that poor woman has broke her arm 3 times now. Her right
And she's
arm?
had like 4 or 5 different surgeries.
Yeah, it's been a big deal. I mean, she
And
can't
then
go
she
in there
had-
and block
she had-
kicks.
Well, and then like also like she's had splintering in the bone, and she's had screws that have like fucked her bone up, and like
Yeah,
she's had all the fucking issues that in the world that you can have
that's
when it
tough.
comes to surgery and breaking your arm, and it's. I wonder how much of that has built up on her and how much she's actually been in the gym in the last 2 years. And like, not saying she hasn't been training at all, but I'm saying
She's
like
definitely in
how
shape.
much yeah, she's in shape, no doubt. That's not the conversation. The conversation becomes how much has she progressed as a fighter, because she does show small inadequacies when it comes to fights like her Paige Van or not, Rose Namajunas fight, and fights like that where she has fights against girls who are on the upper echelon of talent talent in the division, and she struggled pretty bad.
The UFC threw her in a little too deep of waters because of her popularity, kind of like they did Sage Northcutt as well. And there was a time they tried to make those two the face of the divisions, respectively, before they were ready.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if Paige is plateaued or not. It'd be interesting to find out. I don't know where she trains. I know she was with Alpha Male for a minute.
She trains up in Oregon at Chael's gym.
She's at Chael's gym now.
Yeah,
I mean,
her and Austin Vanderfort fight up there. I don't know what exactly the gym is, but wherever
that's
Chael was
Quest.
training
Is
at.
that
Yeah,
Quest
I think
fight
so,
team?
Yeah,
So
I want to say.
I mean, dude, that's a legit. I mean, that's a legit team.
And her husband is a legit All-American wrestler. He's fucking good, and he's a great grappler, dude. He freaking submitted fuck, I can't remember who it was. He submitted like a super high level black belt at Submission Underground recently. He's a beast.
So, in other words, she needs to really win here against Amanda. Because that's really going to hurt
Yeah.
negotiating power if she gets beat.
She's fighting Amanda Rebus, who's no walk in the park. She's
No.
a tough girl, and
Absolutely.
she also is like, she's got a niche in this division. You know, she's not someone that like they brought in for Paige to beat up so they could go in and be like, see, we do care about you. We're trying to build you up on your last fight and, you know, make your contract even bigger and all that. They give her this is a tough fight. I think Rebus has a real good chance of beating her. Just based on all the things we were just talking about. Because of the lack of training, add that to the quarantine, plus her broken arm over the last 2 years. How much has she been able to really progress?
Guess we'll find out. Because honestly, if she loses this fight, does she
And
deserve
if I'm
to
wrong,
have,
I'll admit it. You know?
if she loses this fight, does she deserve to have her contract renewed? Like, take away the outside, take away how pretty she is and the Instagram.
Well, what?
and
She
all
has
of
what?
that.
3 or 4 losses in the UFC.
Yeah.
Something
Would
like
they
that.
keep
And
somebody
has
else in
probably
this
about
position?
6 or 7 wins. So I don't know. I mean, it really depends on what her number is when it comes to how much they're paying her per fight. Is it going to be a flat fee? Is it going to be a weigh-in and bonus? I think someone on her level would probably have to ask for a flat fee and would expect it based on her status as.
Yeah, I mean, she says she makes more on Instagram. than
That's
she
what
gets
I'm
paid
saying.
on her contract
Yeah.
now. And I don't think she's BSing.
And here's the thing: is Bellator already has one of the highest paid women's fighters, or is supposedly to them. I don't know what the details are. No one knows what
It's
anybody's
Cyborg.
details are. But supposedly Cyborg's the highest paid women's fighter in MMA. And if you're Bellator, you go into a negotiation with that in your mind and as a talking point as to where they could take her career. Do they even have this weight division though in Bellator?
You know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
125, or would she have to move back to down 115? I don't even know what. See, that's what's shady too. Is like Bellator. I don't even know what the fuck their weight classes are. Like, because
I'm not going to pretend I do either.
like
I mean, I don't
Sergio
know.
Pettis, he had to move up to 135.
Right.
He looked great in his first fight, but who knows what the fucking weight classes are over there at Bellator.
No, there's too many fights to watch for me to be paying that much attention to
Yeah.
women's Bellator.
Let's just be honest.
MMA.
Bellator's great and all, and they've got the allure of like a B-level UFC. To be honest, the UFC is the fucking king.
Yeah, and if the UFC wasn't
You
putting
could
on
get
so
paid-
many
don't get me
events,
wrong, if
I
you're-
would watch more Bellator.
If you're a fighter, don't get me wrong, you can get paid anywhere. But if you're a fighter and you're trying to become famous, the UFC is where it's at.
Yeah.
It's just-
Bellator
those
is
are just
possibly
the
going to lose that deal with DAZN.
Really?
Yeah.
Days in or days out?
DAZN?
Days out?
Yeah, but they're saying
What?
they might
Why?
move to Showtime.
I think that would actually probably be the better move.
I think it would too, because then they get associated with Showtime Boxing.
Not only that, the thing is, with DAZN, I don't know what you're getting based on the subscription, like whole subscription.
And
thing.
DAZN only appeals to hardcore fight fans.
Yeah.
Your average family does not have that
And they
subscription.
keep hiking that price on up, dude.
Yeah, they got to pay for those big contracts.
How long's their contract?
I think it's up. I don't
Quick,
remember
dude.
the
I remember
details,
when
but
we
it's-
first talked about them freaking signing with DAZN. Now they're heading out. Huh?
Yeah.
It's like Joe Rogan and YouTube.
I know Joe Rogan piecing out to Spotify,
Yep.
but you can now find this podcast, the SWAT
Absolutely.
MMA podcast, as of this episode, our full library now on Spotify, folks.
Yep. Go check it out.
You know, that
Okay.
wraps up some of the announced fights, but some news broke, which I just wanted to discuss briefly while we were smoking this joint, which I guess is now out. But our fellow pot smoker, Kelvin Gastelum,
You
turns
failed
out,
again.
turns out he's been on suspension this whole
6
time
months, yeah.
for 6 months for weed
Just low key.
by USADA.
Yeah. Well, it's
Dude,
retroactive, so
It's
like-
retroactive, so it
should be good soon.
Yeah, but how crazy is that? Because they've lifted their levels up pretty high. Like,
Dude, that means
this
he's
motherfucker,
chiefing
like-
on the way to the octagon, bro.
right, like he was
Or day
backstage
of.
and was like, or he
Or
got up
day
that
of,
morning
like,
and was like,
yeah,
"Fuck it, I'm
fuck,
smoking."
man. Chiefing it up. Well, you know what it could have been, too. It could have been a mistake in his part thinking they probably don't even test for this shit anymore. You know what I mean? Because so many guys have been going on podcasts and shit like that and smoking and zero repercussions are happening. So he's like, and talking about it. Like, fucking Derek Lewis literally talks about it in the octagon all the time. I'm about to go smoke a joint. Like some shit. Or Nate Diaz fucking smoked a joint on air. So let's just be honest. The problem here is maybe not USADA. It's probably Kelvin Gastelum not needing to smoke literally on the way to the octagon, bro. Like, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Like, come on, bro. They're like... like the levels you have to pop is like ridiculous. Everyone says, like Dana White, every time he talks about it, he's like, I don't fucking get it, but I guess like I don't. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right, I'd expect this from like say Nick Diaz. I know Kelvin likes to smoke.
I guess
That
so.
was pretty surprising, because that's really
Yeah, he's trying to achieve. Jesus Christ. Fucking Kelvin, bro. He's got promise though. I think he's still right in the mix.
Oh, I think he's fine. Yeah.
The loss to Till kind of hurts, but it wasn't super lopsided in any way. Till just handled the exchanges and the grappling and just cruised to the Dubski.
What weight he would be if, ideally.
Who?
Gastelum.
Fat.
I mean, just face it, he's a little
Just kidding. I'm
chunky.
fat too, but who cares?
I mean, he's up there.
He's fucking 200 pounds, dude, walking around. That's what people say. Like 205.
That's amazing.
It's great.
That's crazy. I mean, met him and I'm taller than he is. I'm walking around at $160.
Well, here's the thing. He fights 185 and he cuts
Right.
weight. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? What? How? How are you cutting weight to make? He hired a nutritionist to make 185. Like, what? What?
Some munchies, man. He's
I
smoking all that
guess.
weed. and
I
eating.
must be, dude. He must just be eating. You know, it's like they say sometimes, it's like even if you're a diet, it's all about portion control. You can eat a bunch of shit. It still sucks. You eat a bunch of shit all the time.
What if you packed on that quarantine 10?
Dude, I'm quarantined up.
I got
What's
the
up?
quarantine 10. I'm on a diet. You want to hit these?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to lose this weight from sitting around. Shit.
Let's talk about another little thing in recent news. Mike Tyson
Yeah, I was just going to say, who's
has
lost some weight?
more or less come out of retirement.
Dude, he went from, like, if you haven't read the article yet, just Google Mike Tyson, this most recent article, where he talked about how he's finally letting his ego talk again. Because, he's gone on the Rogan podcast. He's talked about some of his psychedelic
Ego death,
experiences.
yeah.
And how he's at the death of his ego. And he's come out, and in the past, he's openly said that he doesn't follow boxing. I mean, he does the little things for TV, and people think he does, but he actually doesn't follow boxing. He doesn't get involved in any of it because he said he's scared he'll get that evil person again, and he didn't like who he was. In this article, he's like, "Yeah, I decided to let that guy out."
Yeah.
And now look at him; he's
Following all that shit now.
he's looking good on the pads. Although let's admit it, Ronda Rousey looked good on the pads, but this is Mike Tyson.
Dude, let's not forget also he's training with freaking
Cordero.
Rafael Cordero,
Yeah.
yeah, who is a mastermind.
And he has lost. I mean, he had a little gut and things.
Dude, they said
going.
he lost like 35 pounds.
He is shredded. I mean, he just did
Ridiculous.
another promo on some kind of.
Dude, did you happen to see that podcast with him and Francis?
No,
I
had it
dude,
on
he
to
was
watch.
giving Francis some evil ideas. He was like, "Yeah, man, just go on the mic, just tell him you'll eat his children and shit." He literally said that to Francis. He's like, "You got to tell him you'll fucking kill him, and you'll eat his children, and you'll kill his whole family, and And then all of a sudden, what happens that same week? Francis Ngannou starts to I know I'm going on a tangent here, but let's not forget. All of a sudden, Francis Ngannou the next week starts talking shit to John Jones, talking about where you at, little Johnny.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, right after that conversation.
Well, maybe he
Coincidence?
took some Iron
I
Mike's
think
advice
not.
there. But yeah, Tyson's looking shredded. I don't think he's not coming back to like compete in regular boxing.
I think it'll be exhibition
He's
level.
talking about exhibition fights.
I think it'll be like a legit fight, though, like 4 or 5 rounds. No
Yeah.
headgear, nothing like that.
There's a lot of talk about him versus Shannon Briggs in
A lot
a
of fight-
4-round exhibition fight.
I heard also Evander Holyfield do an interview where he
Yeah.
said that he had planned to fight Riddick Bowe on New Year's Eve in Tokyo, and that Riddick Bowe fell through, and he said that he'd be willing to split 20 mil, him and Tyson in Tokyo on New Year's.
That's very interesting. Another 20 mil. Supposedly Tyson got a $20 million offer from the Bare Knuckle Fight Club as well.
I saw that. That's just strange though. He's just too old for some kind of shit like that. Bare knuckles rough. There's too much damage involved. Like who are you gonna put him in there with?
It'd have to be somebody old.
He'll probably
somebody
break his
get in a
hands or
box.
something, dude. But I don't know. Mike Tyson probably win that shit for sure.
Dude, more than just his punching, his movement looked.
Yeah, I think he'd work for bare knuckle actually. Translate pretty well.
That'd be a scary thing. Dude,
Yeah, who would
53
he
or
fight
not.
though? Who's the bare knuckle heavyweight champ?
Some big white dude with a beard. I can't remember his name.
Is he Mike Tyson? Didn't
Fuck
think
no.
so.
Yeah, Mike Tyson probably eat him up, man.
Think so? Well, maybe, dude. Fuck
And
it.
bare knuckle?
Yeah, who cares? Throw it on the record, 20 mil. You can be the fucking bare knuckle heavyweight champ and walk
Dude,
off
who
with the
wouldn't
belt.
order that pay-per-view?
Hell yeah!
I don't care who he was fighting in
and
bare
it's
knuckle.
not like. What are the rounds in bare knuckle? 2 minutes?
They're 2-minute rounds.
5? Yeah, it's 5
Yeah,
2-minute
it's
rounds.
5
Ain't shit.
2-minute rounds with a full minute in between.
Ain't shit. If you're Mike Tyson, you probably don't even. He doesn't make it out the first round, anyways. Probably. Mike probably sweeps his shit up real quick. He's a little bit older too, isn't he? Didn't he used to?
Yeah, he's like.
Wasn't he like a
he's like
kickboxer or something
40.
like that?
Yeah.
So fuck it, yeah, throw him in there, dude. 20 mil, fuck it, Mike. Get your money and get that belt, and then walk away. Be like, what's up, bro? Been a bare knuckle boxing champion, the greatest boxer of all time. All I do is box.
You know who else is chirping about Mike Tyson and fighting him? Tito Ortiz.
Dude, fuck that guy.
Dude, you know that's a joke though.
Well,
Tito
no,
Ortiz
here's the
is
thing though.
whack.
Is like even if they fought, they would have to be like an MMA fight. Was he gonna box Mike Tyson? No, he didn't want that heat.
You want to talk about a
Bro, he couldn't
murderer.
even box fucking Chuck
Dana
Liddell.
White.
Like he couldn't box Chuck Liddell,
Couldn't box
dude.
Chuck,
Like,
Chuck Liddell. They talked
on
about him
the
fighting
feet, he
Dana back in
smashed
the day.
him.
I think
Oh,
Dana
yeah,
would probably
that's
would have
funny.
taken him because Dana could box up a little bit. But in a straight boxing, Tyson will murder
Tyson
that
would
man.
murk him.
He'd be more competitive against the bare knuckle guy
Yeah, no
for
doubt.
sure. But Tito's just trying to get that Mike Tyson clout. dude.
Oh yeah,
That's
look,
not serious.
everybody is, dude. It's
It's
like
not serious at all.
yeah.
The Briggs fight is possible.
Shannon Briggs makes sense because he's still a guy who's open to
Yeah,
fights
he's still
later in his
training and
career.
trying to fight
Yeah.
and stuff, and he's shredded.
He's
You've seen his
shredded, yeah.
Instagram. Shannon
Evander
Briggs.
too. You see, Evander's
Yeah,
back.
he's
in
on the
work.
juice, but whatever.
Ah,
Well, I mean,
that's what.
he failed a drug
That's
test.
one. Well, here's the thing. That's what Joe Rogan was saying. Is like, so it would have to be some kind of exhibition because you cannot tell me someone like Shannon Briggs, someone like Mike Tyson, someone like Evander, even like he said, even Lennox Lewis. If he Lennox Lewis said on his podcast that he would be down to fight Mike Tyson.
They're on the
So-
juice. It's all right.
So yeah, it's like that's the thing. It's like those
50
guys.
years
would-
old.
Yeah, it's like those guys are gonna.
Have you seen Briggs?
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's
Seriously,
the
he has the
thing, too.
body of like a 25-year-old.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
You
yeah.
cover up his gray beard and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is like, if you go, that's why I don't think someone like bare knuckle would work for him because it's just going to be tough. Like
For Tyson?
for any of those guys that are trying to make random comebacks at age 50. Like, all these guys, like, what the fuck are they doing? Like,
if BKFC has that kind of money to throw about, maybe they're discounting on the Mike Tyson pay-per-view buys to be able to say it's 20 mil, because I don't think they got finances like that. I don't think Shannon Briggs is going to get no $20 million offer from the BKFC.
no, I don't think it's going to be the 2020. It'll be like a 20 and a 2.
But I don't know. I'd watch it. I'd watch them box too. Holyfield's that's a legit fight. Another exhibition. Like, we're all talking
Lennox,
exhibition
too.
Fights here. Lennox
makes sense.
that would be legit. Although I don't know if Tyson wants that fight that much. I don't know.
At this age, maybe just to get that shot back. Pow, pow.
I know it's crazy.
I feel like
seeing
Lennox
him
would
on the
be
pads.
Lennox will always have the reach on him, but Mike's speed has probably aged better than Lennox's, in my opinion.
He's taking time off too. It's not
Lennox
he's
is like
been-
the most underappreciated heavyweight champion of all time, in my opinion.
That's because they were an American Brit.
Yeah,
You know.
but he was so good at that time, and everybody was all over Mike. Lennox is out here, underground king and motherfuckers.
That's true.
Evander too. People don't fuck with Evander. I don't get it. Evander was the
Oh,
shit.
I fuck with Evander.
It's the real deal. Holyfield.
I watched his whole rise.
Yeah.
Evander was the real deal.
You know who's the most hated heavyweight champion of ever?
What do you think?
Fucking Larry Holmes, dude. Everybody hates
Everybody
Larry
hates
Holmes
Larry Holmes.
just because he beat Ali.
Ali.
Who the fuck does that?
People were
Not
glad
only-
that Tyson fucked him up.
Here's the thing though, too, is like, not only did he beat Ali, he like called Ali out when he was like way done. Like everybody,
Yeah.
everybody knew he was done. Like if you watch, there's a 30 for 30 about it. But it's like they showed like the training footage of Ali, and it was just like, it was almost sad to watch, dude, because you could tell like his Parkinson's was like starting, like he was like twitching
Yeah, he didn't have
already and
any
shit.
business
He had
messing
like
with that
weird,
fight.
he had like weird twitches. It was like, oh shit, dude, like he fought while he had that kind of shit. Like, what, he was like 44 when that happened, or something, like 45.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Dude, I loved Ali growing up. I met him once. I had a pair of Ali autographed
What?
gloves. Yeah.
That's
Had him
sick.
autograph a pair of gloves when I was boxing.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wish I still had them. I lost them.
Ah.
I went through some drama and I was homeless for a while, and I had to sell the gloves to get
Damn.
a place to stay.
That's crazy.
But yeah, they were.
Ali
dope.
was the shit, man.
It was an awesome time.
Dude, when he died, it was like a fucking national, like you know, when like there's some people, like famous people, when they die, it's like everybody remembers that day.
Oh yeah.
It was one of those
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh no, absolutely. But yeah, everybody hated Holmes for that shit.
Dude, everybody hated him, and he was great. He was a great champion,
was
dude.
good.
He cleaned house for a while, and he fucked Ali up.
And Tyson wound up fucking him up.
Yeah.
Kind of even the scales a little bit. Tyson came out and said he wanted to beat him up for that shit he did. to
And
Ali,
Holmes was
too.
on the definitely on the decline.
He was too.
His
Similar
best days were
situation,
behind
but
him.
not near as bad.
Yeah.
But
Foreman fucked him up too, didn't he?
yeah,
Yeah. Foreman was the shit. What was the fight we were watching the
we
other
just
day?
watched that Foreman.
Foreman Holyfield. That fight was a
That
fucking
was actually
war.
a war.
War, dude. Oh my goodness, that's a war.
That was a great fight, man. That was an absolute classic.
Dude. Whoever said Foreman doesn't have a chin.
Dude,
Fucking
Foreman's
crazy. That
got all
dude's
kinds
got.
of chin. He just kept coming forward. Because
Even if
Holyfield
you
was
look at-
tagging him up.
Even if you look back when Ali beat him too, he like, although Ali took all his shots and tired him out, he also took some fucking. When Ali finished him, like he had to throw some giant shots to
Yeah.
put George away. Like he's a savage, bro. Like he is
Absolutely.
super underappreciated. I mean, it's kind of his own fault, kind of because of the whole like exile. He kind of exiled himself
and
from boxing and
He
things.
was kind of a big asshole in the first
Yeah.
part of his career. You know, he came back.
Aren't
as
like
this
all his kids
lovable-
named George?
Yeah, 1 through 8. Or
got-
2 through 8. Yeah.
He's grilling people up and shit. Dude, everybody had a George Foreman grill, dude.
Dude, I still got one in the cupboard
I
somewhere.
think I have one. So, dude, you
One of
probably
those
still buy
things.
one right now. George
Yeah,
Foreman
I'm sure
grills
you
are the
can.
shit.
They are.
But
Yeah, he came
It-
back popular, but he was still tough, man.
Yeah.
And he came back with a new attitude.
yeah,
But
he
he
had a
still
couple
had that
tough
chin.
fights there at the end, but
He had tough fights, but he
It
had
is
that
what it
extra
is.
weight, too. You know, he was a little chunkier.
yeah, he was way chunkier,
But,
dude.
like,
Jesus.
yeah, I was
Just
being
compare
nice.
it to freaking to when he was 22. Like
Yeah.
Jesus,
Yeah,
dude.
he was, like, ripped
He was
back
a
then.
fucking
Yeah.
like he was like a Greek god body when he was 22, bro. Everyone was scared of him, dude. Remember what he did to fucking Frazier?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I know I'm not old enough to remember any of this shit, but I've seen all these
Right, we've
tapes,
seen
dude.
it all.
Like fucking what he did to Frazier is like stuff of nightmares. Like we're talking about Frazier coming off beating Ali, and everyone was like, "Holy shit, Joe Frazier is the best heavyweight in the world." He
Yeah.
just beat the GOAT. Because even
Yeah.
though everyone didn't call Ali the GOAT when he was boxing, like there was still like that level of greatness that he carried throughout his career, where everyone kind of knew like he was the measuring stick of greatness compared to like other heavyweights. You know, like
For
he was the
sure.
best, but people could beat him, but he was still the best. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like skill wise and all the other ways. So when he goes out and just fucking mops Frazier the way he did in 2 rounds, like
Yes,
that was
sir.
scary, man. That if you guys have time, go back and watch that. That
You
is
can
like
catch that on most
that
of
is
that
a
footage on
beatdown.
YouTube. these
YouTube
days.
and there's it might even be on ESPN Plus.
Yep.
But yeah. So I feel like
Absolute
George Foreman,
terror.
like in his early days, man, before Ali beat him, because Ali mind fucked him so bad. Like the crowd, like he swayed him all the way from George, and just like, dude, like that's such a mind fuck to not only be fighting the guy across from you, but everyone in the crowd saying you're gonna die. Fucking people are walking
yeah,
up and down the
that's
streets
tough.
telling you you're gonna die. Like that's a super mind fuck.
That is
Super
tough.
mind fuck. And then you go in there and get worn out and knocked the fuck out, like in the heat of the fucking they say that like that and the Thriller in Manila were like fucking dangerously hot outside.
Yeah, it was like
112
115
in the
yeah,
ring.
Yeah.
Like fuck. Imagine
That's-
that.
Yeah, that's hot if
Fuck
you're
that.
sitting there not doing
Dude,
anything.
that's hot if you're fucking hanging outside.
Yeah, let
Like,
alone
Jesus.
competing in a
Fucking
strenuous
throwing-
activity, getting sweaty as fuck.
Throwing 300 punches over freaking 15 rounds.
Just loaded up some fresh turp diamonds in this
Word,
thing.
word.
When it turns green, it's good to hit.
But yeah, I think that's why, like, someone like Frazier, Foreman, Ali, I feel like that's why everyone holds those heavyweights, or that class of heavyweights, above all the other generations.
All those guys were going 15 rounds back
Because
then, too, for the
because
most
it
part.
was just such a grueling thing.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
worst part was like, then freaking Don King comes in and just ruins everyone. There's like some of the greatest fucking heavyweight fights of all time, and guys are getting paid pennies. Like it's just crazy. So it's like heavyweight boxing is like
it's
I feel like
brutal.
those guys in that era are just held up to another level because it was just so cutthroat.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Even the guys like Norton and guys like that were
Ken
in that
Norton,
dude,
there's
like
another dude that was
yeah,
just
like,
huge.
just
and
savages.
ripped. Savage, yeah. Absolutely. We miss that from boxing now, although the heavyweight division's starting to come back a bit.
it's starting to
you
come
know?
back a bit, but there's still not a guy who's like Andy Ruiz was it for a minute, but he really fumbled the ball.
He did. He fumbled the ball bad.
Like
He didn't look good in his fight, and he came in so overweight. But, you know, on the flip side, we were just talking about how Lennox Lewis, like, everybody liked to kind of clown on him because he was British, at least here in America. Now we've got Tyson Fury, who's
Probably
coming
bigger
from
than the
same area
US champ.
and super popular. Yeah,
Well-
more popular than Wilder over here because he knows how to play it, though. He knows how to appeal to that crowd.
I think that's a product of social media as well, though.
Yeah, that's true. We live in a different era where we got that. And plus, he's got the story and all.
Tyson Fury does also early in his career said a lot of clickbaity things that you could run with on the internet.
Yeah.
And then of
He's
course
always been outlandish on the personality
he's great.
side. But, that's another fight that got canceled. Of course, him versus Wilder was canceled. That's going to get rescheduled here soon.
Yeah, it should be.
Hopefully
Honestly,
here
it probably
in
still
Vegas,
happened
too.
same time because it was August, right? It was August
Now I can't
7th or
remember 'cause
9th
I'm
or
pretty
something.
High. We're smoking these diamonds right
Ha!
now. I'm not even sure, but
So yeah, I don't know. I think it was August. I could see it still happening then. Maybe September.
I know it was officially canceled. I read that
Oh, really?
they called it off. Absolutely, yeah. What's his name?
I wonder
Eddie
if they
Hearn was
wait
like,
for fans
"That's
to
it."
come back.
They might. They want that gate more than the UFC is a company that's getting a guaranteed fee if they put on a certain number of events. Whereas like these
Yeah.
promoters, they need the gate, man.
Do they though? Because if they have the highest pay-per-view of all time, there's no need for the
I know
game.
that last fight only did like what 700,000. The first fight did like 3.
Yeah, but if everyone's at home and nobody could be in attendance,
It might be higher.
like there definitely could be a way higher. I just want to see a legitimate pay-per-views numbers from from what this shit like. I haven't seen the UFC's pay-per-view numbers.
Well, yeah, because we don't have the traditional model anymore. We still call it pay-per-view, but now
They
it's
don't really.
behind,
They don't bring it. They don't
streaming
like.
services.
Yeah, they don't like broadcast it really anymore.
The information's private. You
Yeah.
know. They base a lot of this stuff when they're telling us sales. They're basing it on internet searches.
100%.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens here as boxing comes back into play here as well. But it's really cool, seeing Mike Tyson come back.
Yeah.
No matter if it even
Makes
if it
everyone-
doesn't wind up happening in any type of exhibition fight or nothing, it's so awesome to seeing that guy hit pads.
Yeah, for sure.
We haven't seen it in years.
And for him to be immersed back into the boxing culture as well.
Yeah,
It's
hell
definitely it's a big thing for the sport.
it is absolutely
Because I feel like it's kind of in a renaissance right now, and I feel like if Mike Tyson it can kind of also help with the like promotion side, because he's had guys like Tyson on his podcast and stuff, so it's like that just pushes the culture of boxing and people that hear Tyson Fury's voice forward, and it's like it's so needed for a sport that's like always been like doesn't really have many voices that aren't commentators.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of boxers after they leave boxing are immersed really in the culture unless they're promoters. You know what I'm saying? Like Oscar or Floyd or something like that. But even Floyd, like how much really is Floyd a part of boxing culture anymore? Not really. He's out here fighting, trying to fight MMA fighters left and right. Like, fuck's he?
Although he does have a team
on the
a fight
training
team
side,
and
on the training
and,
side, but I just
big
mean the
gym here in
promotional
Vegas.
side of like getting these guys' names more out there. Like he does great training, and yeah, his fighters are he got a lot of like A1 fighters. But I mean, like on the promotional side, outside of his like money team fights, kind of like Oscar, like as he's more of a promoter than like out there trying to
He's
spread
not
the
trying
word.
to help the
you know?
sport. He's trying.
He's
to help,
not on the media
He's
side.
trying to help
basically what I'm saying.
Mayweather and Team Mayweather and Mayweather Productions.
Trying to make money off of it. Yeah.
And Team Money.
Yeah.
But he's not really
Money
trying
team.
to do things. Money Team.
Yeah.
Anything related to Floyd, he's down to promote. But I don't think he's trying to help the sport of boxing overall.
Yeah, whereas I feel like Mike Tyson could come out and kind of help.
Dude, that'll help no matter
Mike
what.
Tyson's a transcending like name. You know what I mean? Like
Dude, everybody
everyone
loves
on
Tyson.
earth knows Mike Tyson.
Did you go in my living room? I got that photo of me and Tyson.
Yeah,
Like
Mike
it's
Tyson's-
like the greatest thing in my life that I've ever captured.
Yeah.
Like, and why? Everybody feels that way though. Like my daughter knows who Mike Tyson is, not just
Yeah.
because of me.
Everyone knows Mike Tyson.
He's a rare figure.
Yeah.
And if he really gets involved in boxing again, it'd be sick, no
Yeah.
matter what it
For sure.
ultimately comes to. So,
Yeah.
that's good stuff, man. Hopefully next week we'll have some fights announced.
Well, we
more
do
so.
have the fights coming up
These.
on the 6th as well. A pay-per-view, we'll be previewing that as well.
Yeah, we'll be discussing that in a little bit more in depth.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we've got some more announcements after that. And maybe some news on Fight Island. Maybe it's
Yeah.
actually going to be a thing.
I'm telling you, man, I think Fight Island makes more sense money for your money than going to some random big-ass arena and fucking trying to bring international guys there.
You said it. So well, that's the
is
show
what it
for
is.
today, folks.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the show, we do air normally on WBUZ 95 on radio.net, the Orange Radio app. That is currently off air due to the coronavirus and the COVID-19 complications, but it will be back up and running here in June. In the meantime, though, you can find us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as it's now called, Google Play, Spotify,
Yo.
anywhere else you find your podcasts at, including video on YouTube. Where can they get all that info
You
at?
can get all your info over at SWATMMA.com. You can go over, hit the gear button, buy yourself a nice t-shirt, jacket, or some cool shit to support the podcast.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.